now listening to Protecting Your Nest with board-certified family medicine and obesity medicine specialist Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com. Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. When I think about the things that have happened in my life that have had the greatest impact, I think of when I met my wife, I had my kids, I learned how to set realistic goals, how to make exercise and sleep a priority, making sure I can accept constructive criticism, and when I learned the value of having a coach to help guide me in my decisions. But there are so many more, but the one that has allowed me to feel my very best has been making the right dietary changes. It was dietary changes that have healed me and my guests from our previous life, a life where for me, it was normal to feel tired. It was normal to not have focus. It was normal to not being able to concentrate. A life where having an upset stomach was the norm. A life where I was on the path to poor metabolic health. I can't be the metabolic health doc if I'm not metabolically healthy. That's why I am so grateful. We can all have hope knowing that by making simple dietary changes, we can heal and live the lives we've always desired. That's why I've invited today's guest, a guest who has also benefited from making dietary changes, a guest whose story I think you should hear. Today's guest is Jheanelle Henry. Jheanelle is the author of her great book entitled Keto Yardie, a guide to ketosis and breaking food addiction. She's also a keto coach and hosts her very own podcast entitled Chatting with Jheanelle. Jheanelle has made dietary changes that have saved her life and is here today to share, how this dietary change has made such an impact on her life. And Jheanelle, I appreciate you and thank you for coming to the podcast, and welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Hampton. It is a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you. And let's do a shout out. Let's make sure we see that shirt with your
Keto Yardie.
I love it. And I love that. I love the graphics. I love your energy. And again, we need some soldiers. And I've said this on other episodes. We need soldiers out here spreading the healing potential of keto, because so many people haven't heard it or are afraid of it, or have doctors or advanced practice nurses, clinicians who say, no, don't do that. That's going to hurt you.
Right.
So we have to, at least make this an option for people. And I appreciate you being one of the people out there spreading the message. So let's go back a few years, just a few years, because I know you're just so young, but we're going to go back to when you were younger. And I want to understand a little bit about when you think about your younger days, as far back as you like to go, what foundational things do you think occurred or happened that shaped you into the person you are today?
Family. Wow. I just go back to childhood. I go back to 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And I just remember looking forward to the weekends, right? Not to lay around and watch cartoons, but to go to my grandma's house. So I am the first grandchild on my mom's side of family. I'm the first girl on my dad's side of family. So there are a lot of firsts there, but I really look forward to just spending time with family. And that has been a big part of who I am today. Also having a good time. Dr. Hampton, I like to have a good time. And most people, when you think about adults, you think about, overindulgence and alcohol, but that's not a good time for me. A good time for me is good energy, good vibes with the right people. That's what family was for me. That's what family is for me. A lot of my core childhood memories are surrounded by spending time with my friends, sleepovers. I was allowed to sleep over. It was a different time then, right, Dr. Hampton? Now it's like, wait a minute, sleepover where? You could go and I'll be there, but you're not sleeping over. But, just sleepovers at good friends' homes, I should say, and time with my cousins. And now I get to have adult sleepovers and I get to go on girls' trips with my girls. So really, when I think back, to childhood, the first thing that pops out for me is just family. And also a love for the kitchen. So my grandmother was an amazing cook. She's no longer with us, but she was a fantastic cook. The lady could cook, she could bake. I mean, she could sew. She was your typical like wife's wife, if so to speak. My father is a chef. My father is also a trained chef. So I grew up in the kitchen, loving the kitchen. Now I don't like it so much, Dr. Hampton, because I got to clean the kitchen. So that's the part I don't like.
Wow.
But I grew up appreciating and loving food. We celebrated, we loved on each other through food.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. You gave me a lot of moments of reflection as I listened to you. And I'm such a family man, even after having pledged Alpha Phi fraternity. Don't do a lot of stuff with the fraternity because of family.
Right.
When the kids showed up, forget it. But when I go back to my childhood, I think about the Saturdays where, first of all, starting with Friday, we always danced on Fridays. We always played games. And some of that has faded away, and we need to get back to that. On Saturdays, we had a little routine. My mom, she was a single mom, and we had to clean the house. Me and my brother, he would have, well, maybe
Yes.
the kitchen. I would have the bathroom, or vice versa. Mom would do her thing. We would go and, she would shop together. We would go to the movies together. It seems like I'm wondering if the movie theaters weren't really a thing like they are now, because it seems like we always had to go downtown Chicago to go to the movies. We would go to our favorite restaurant, which was Ronnie's Steakhouse. Before, who knew that probably laid the seed for me being this carnivore guy, because I was 11. Ronnie's Steakhouse, that was probably the foundation of that. So, but I agree with you, having a good time, and just being. I think I learned how to cook because I was in the kitchen with my mom too. So that family, that lays the foundation. That's why I pray for those who don't have that, because it really lays the foundation. So thank you for sharing that part of who you are. And I do want to stay kind of in your childhood for a moment and talk a little bit about, were you a person who had weight issues back then, or did that happen later in life?
So I'm Jamaican born and raised, and I did not have issues with my weight as a kid, Dr. Hampton. My mom used to have to beg me to eat. Oh, how the tables turned.
Wow.
But no, I never had weight issues. I was always a thin child, even senior year of high school. I'm five, some people say 5'5". I say I'm 5'6". Give me my extra inch. But I was 120, 25 pounds soaking wet. So I was
Okay.
very small. But that freshman 15 turned into a lot. But as a child, no, I was not a picky eater, but I just don't remember being hungry. I just really don't remember being hungry. I love water, and I always have water close by. Then and now, but in the middle, and we'll get to that, not so much. But as a kid, I like to be outside playing, so I would usually eat a lot of fruit. Growing up in the islands, you kind of just pick fruit off the trees, sit down under a tree, eat a mango kind of thing.
Nice.
So that was really my upbringing with food. I would try most things once as a kid. I am like that now still, but I was always a thin child, very thin.
And thankfully, when you're younger and active, the things that we worry about with fruit are not such a big deal.
Big deal.
You're gonna burn it off, and so it's not a big deal. It may be a bigger issue as we've gotten older, and some of us have become less healthy metabolically. But that's
right.
I want you to comment a little bit on this freshman weight gain thing. I remember when I was at Xavier in New Orleans, I did notice that there was a percentage of the population, particularly the girls, I don't know why, but they definitely put on a few pounds over the 4 years they were there. So just talk a little bit about that experience and what you think was the driving forces behind that.
Okay. So we got to go back a little bit just to get to freshman year of college. So in Jamaica, a I was on the swim team. So I was
Mhm.
always active. I
Mm.
used to dance as a young girl, used to do ballet, jazz, everything except tap. I
Mhm.
used to do that. Wanted to do karate, and my mom was like, no, you're going to do swimming. I almost drowned, and I always give the backstory. I almost drowned. My mom doesn't know how to swim. My dad was away. So we were in Ocho Rios at a resort, and I almost drowned. My mom got me in swim lessons that Monday. I fell in love with swimming, and she just wanted me to perfect my craft. So I
Mhm.
joined the swim team. So moving from Jamaica here, I was like, a black girl and her hair, Dr. Hampton. Let's keep it real. So,
Oh yeah.
joining the swim team with a perm, it's like it's a whole lot. So I didn't swim in high school here. So my activity began to decline. And
Mm.
we know what happens when our activity begins to decline. Then I went to college, got my first car, and you're no longer, we got food at home. It's like, oh, you got a car, you got a little job now.
Mm.
So you can pull up to McDonald's
Mhm.
and you can pull up to this and you can, you know what I mean? So I just became, I don't like the word lazy, but I became sedentary and very lax.
Mhm.
And that I went from a size 5 to a size 8, and I was, feeling a little like, okay, I'm coming into myself.
Mhm.
And then I hit a size 10, and honestly, a size 10 was the last size that I remembered until I hit a size 20 pants, jeans. Yeah,
Wow. And it
yeah,
just kind of snuck up on you. And when you're so focused on your goals and you're busy, but not as active, but you're busy, I could see how it just eases into your life, that weight. And I remember
right.
when we ate, like the thing that I always remember from Xavier was the dollar pizza, right? They always had these dollar pizzas, and it's nothing but starch, but you don't know. And it was affordable, and you're trying to live on a budget. And a lot of the things that we ate that were not particularly expensive were starchy.
Yeah,
And so if you weren't active, and many people in college weren't, I did play, we had a tennis team, and I did do some of that. And so I was a little active because of that, but I agree that it can sneak up on you. And I just want to give permission to all the or grace. I think grace is a better
yes.
word, to all the people who are in school or have gone through that, and that's when things changed. And so I get it, and we have to just hopefully find a path past that. And I think that's part of what we're going to talk about today. So obviously you had a problem to solve, right? So and you discovered keto. So I'm curious how you discovered that dietary pattern. What led to that, and let's hear about what did it change once you started doing it.
So, how did I find out about keto? On Instagram, social media,
Yeah.
scrolling one day, and there was an account that I followed, and it was for fashion. She was plus size, and I was, as I told you, I was always smaller. So realizing I was as a size 20, I was just like, okay, how do I dress this body and still feel confident as a young woman? I really didn't know.
Hmm.
So I started following her for inspiration on how to dress my plus size body that I now had to look in the mirror and try to be okay and comfortable with, right? Because it was my reality.
Hmm.
She began doing keto, and what grabbed my attention, honestly, and it's not anything amazing, it's not the science, it's not the things we both know now. I got to eat bacon.
Mm.
Bacon. I love pork. I was able to eat bacon, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So you mean to tell me all I got to do is take the bun off of a burger and I could lose weight? I was like, I got to try this. I
Yes.
got to try this. And I purchased her book, had the book for months. And when
Hmm.
you talk about giving grace, we all know people who buy self help books and these different books, and they have them and they're sitting for months. And I remember a Black girl in her hair, went to get my hair braided. And I was like, you know what? This lady, she wasn't having good conversation. I was like, let me read the book.
Mm.
And it was March 2018. And I said, you know what? April 1st, 2018, it was April 2018. And I said, May 1st, 2018, I'm going to get started. And I read the book and it just blew my mind. And I was like, you know what, Jheanelle, give it a shot. What do you have to lose? And Keto and I started dating May 1st, 2018. And we became official and we got married and we're together. And, you know, like in any relationship, Dr. Hampton, you have fights, right? But we're still together. We're still rocking. We're still rocking.
I love that. Haven't heard anybody express it that way, but that's that's beautiful. And I agree. We actually went to the Urban League is throughout the country, but in Chicago they have one of the largest urban leagues. So they have the Urban League Gala. Was able to hear the older but still beautiful voice of Ron Isley. He performed there, of the Isley Brothers, and I just love music, so I was impressed with what he could do at 82. Maybe he's keto. We need to look into that.
Maybe we should look into
right.
it.
But while we were having, you know, when you walk into this nice hotel, I think it was the Sheraton Hotel downtown in Chicago, and they always have the table set up already, and when so of course they have salad there. For some reason they had dessert on the table already, which is really strange. And lo and behold, there was nothing that I would normally eat there. We actually went to this event, tip to all those who are checking us out. I went there with a partially full belly because I already knew that it would be chicken, some, you know, it probably is going to be dry, probably some piece of beef that's going to be dry. And lo and behold, they gave us this little bitty, what looked like a quarter of a hen, which would never feel. And then, of course, these fancy looking things like potato and corn and things like that. But I bring it up to say, when I first sat there and salad was there, the only thing I saw that catch my attention was bacon, bacon, bacon. And I literally was the only person I could have eaten a whole little thing of bacon because everybody else was busy eating the salad. And it's like really funny to reflect on that and to imagine that the healthiest thing on the table was the bacon, not the salad. Isn't that crazy? So
It is crazy.
It's crazy. So it's just something to really like reflect on and say, who knew that this guy who used to be a vegetarian would literally just eat bacon before the meat portion came? And I just wanted to put that in front of you. So let's talk a little bit about like a couple of things I saw on your website, and I'll make sure to share that link for those who want to check you out and maybe get some coaching and other services you offer. You had a section talked about frequently asked questions. One, was, what's the average, I guess, weight loss to be expected in the first 30 days? So if somebody asked that question, what would you tell them to expect?
Here you go, putting me on the spot, Dr. Hampton.
Sorry.
So that's okay, because it's a question that I get asked often, and it's a question that I hardly ever answer. You know why? Because it varies. Yeah. It really does vary. And one of the things that I say to my clients or potential clients is, are you ready and willing to commit to yourself? So the more inflammation in your body, and we know this, is the more we're going to see that number on the scale move, because we're losing a lot of water weight. We're letting go a lot of that inflammation. There is some fat as well. However, we need to take account for that. So the highest that I've ever had a client lose in 1 month with me is 22 pounds. Wow. This was not anything that I didn't require, and I never require my clients to do anything that I've never done myself. This was just simply removing sugar, a lot of those starches from their diet, learning to read and understand labels, learning that food is for fuel, not a crutch.
Mm.
Simple things like that, and beginning to do intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So in their first month, the longest fast that person did was 24-hour fast. And she lost 22 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
She lost 22
Okay.
pounds her first month.
That's nice. Yeah, it sounds like that variation is based on a few factors. The things that come to mind immediately is, to what degree are you metabolically unhealthy, right? So if you're
Correct.
on the far end of that spectrum, you'll probably see a bigger improvement.
Right.
Obviously, the larger you are, you
Of
can't
course.
expect, yeah, the larger you are, you see a greater improvement. Obviously, to what extent you're dedicated and, aligning with what the recommendations are will determine it. So, but I like the approach, which is, we're going to individualize what you achieve, and let's just work towards incremental improvement. Let's not over focus on the scale. It'll be one of the many metrics we measure, but it's
Yes.
not going to be the only one. So and I've seen people literally have to get off medicine for diabetes before they lose a lot of weight. I've seen
Yes.
people blood pressures drop before they lose a lot of weight. So a lot of times people, or previous guests like JT and Carrie, who is working on a carnivore documentary, those two had sleep apnea, and they both saw tremendous improvement within 30 days. And imagine a life on a CPAP machine, and you can make that completely different within 30 days. Who wouldn't want to sign up for that? So I appreciate that. When I look at the book, or the website, I saw another frequently asked question, and that was this idea of exercise. Is it necessary to work out to lose the weight I want to lose? So how would you respond to that question?
Huh. Is it? It's always funny. And I put the questions that I get asked that I don't answer yes or no. Because for
Mm-hmm.
me, when it comes to your health and fitness, there's so much gray, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is it required? The truth is no. However, at almost tipping the scales at 288 pounds with a heart murmur, my butt needed to work out because I understood the pressure that I was putting my heart
Mm-hmm.
under
Mm-hmm.
with a heart murmur. And I just wanted to do this, in my opinion, for me, the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I talk to my clients about is, what is your why? And we met each other in Orlando, and I shared what my why was
Mm-hmm.
initially. And it was from a vanity standpoint, but
Mm-hmm.
you need a why, right? You need a why in order to have any kind of direction as to where you're going. So is it required? No, but I highly recommend it. And I do provide my clients with a workout guide, not a workout plan, because I
Mm-hmm.
am not a certified personal trainer, but just things that I know that they can do at home with no equipment other than maybe a jump rope. And technically, you don't need a jump rope. You can literally just move your arms
That's right.
in order to be successful. Short answer, no. Long answer, move your body.
Yeah, I got to move that body. And I
Yeah.
agree. I've seen a ton of success stories of people who have lost 100 pounds. In fact, when you go to the Amazon, and we'll comment on your book in a moment, my Fix Your Diet, Fix Your Diabetes on Amazon, you can put a video. So one of the videos I put on the website was Mamie Daniels, and in her journey, and she came to me literally in a wheelchair. She did zero exercise when she lost her 95 to 100 pounds, zero. She started to incorporate that eventually, but it just proves to you that the diet is that valuable to help you achieve your weight loss goals. And there are people literally running marathons who are still not at their ideal body weight, which is still shocking to my brain. I'm not sure I understand that, but that even further proves that you really want to focus on your diet. So, but since I mentioned my book, I might as well mention yours again, which is Keto Yardie, which is basically your name, your hashtag on the book. And I want to hear from you if someone purchased your book on your website, what can they learn from that book? And one more thing I want you to comment on. I saw, I think was cut up asparagus. I just wanted to, it was some type of vegetable. Talk a little bit about why you chose that image. It's a beautiful book cover, but talk about what they're going to learn in the book and why you chose that image.
So what someone who purchases the book will learn from the book is truly how to start keto, what the benefits are of living a ketogenic lifestyle. It includes a shopping list. So you can buy the book, and I tell people, I said, if you buy the book in the morning, you can cook your first keto meal in the afternoon.
Cool.
Because it gives you all you need to know. It also gives you a list of sugars that it is best. I don't like to label food good or bad, but it's a list of sugars that you are to be more mindful of, to be aware of. It also has recipes in there. It has a ton of information in there. I have had people who have lost 40, 50 pounds just by purchasing the book without ever coaching with me.
Nice.
So the book purchase includes macro calculation. So you also get your macros calculated with the book. I mean, to be honest with you, I can't even charge for me what the book is worth because it probably would not sell.
Right.
Because you know that there's not just ever one edit of the book. There are many nights I sat in my closet editing, revamping, doing a lot of things. We chose, and my sister is the one who did the graphics for the book. So major shout out to her. I had the vision and she executed. It would not have been possible without her.
Nice.
That girl has literally been my right hand since the start of.
Is that her business, or is it just something she had a passion for?
My sister is Superwoman. So, and I like to say that not in a humble way. She's literally Superwoman. There is not much that she can't do. So she went to school in Jamaica for School of the Arts. So she's very artsy. And initially she started out doing graphics. Now she's into production management, project management. She's just Superwoman when it comes to just execution and getting things done. So she did the graphics for the book, and we were trying to find a cover, and I didn't really want to be on the cover of my book. I don't know why.
That's fair.
And at the time I really liked asparagus. Now I know more, right? Because this is a journey. And what I knew then is not what I know now. Right. So I liked asparagus. She found the picture and she was like, I think this is it. And I was like, I trust your judgment. I think this is it. This was probably at 2:30 on draft 25 of the book. And we were just like, yeah, this works. So that's why I chose that.
That's cool. Well, you shouldn't feel bad because I absolutely have to change the cover of my book. And I'm so happy you said evolving because I have stuff on my book. I'm carnivore now. So I wouldn't make a carnivore cover because it's not a carnivore book. But fix your diabetes. I saw a stethoscope. It just looked cute. I said, oh, let me have some plant stuff on it. But I absolutely plan to change my cover a little bit. But again, we evolve. And the good thing about asparagus is still keto. It's still low. Yeah. So it may have anti-nutrients and things that some of us don't tolerate, but there's that. Now, what I love about having a resource like your book is that there's levels to this, right? So some people just need a handout, eat this, don't eat that. Some people need, a grocery list. Some people need menus. Some people need coaching. Some people need groups. Some people need one-on-one. So I think people have to just have options in front of them, test them out, and then go from there. And if I get your book and I'm still struggling, then I need to have you as my coach. If I'm doing that and I'm not interacting enough, maybe I need to do that plus maybe join the steak and butter gang or something, and hang out with a gang, right? So, and I answer questions for them. So I love the idea of moving towards whatever works for the individual. Just real quick, your typical day. I'm a little bit more animal based, so I don't eat a lot of plants anymore, but what's typical for you when it comes to your food?
I am a bunless burger kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bunless burger.
You love
I
burgers.
am, yeah, I give me the beef
Yeah,
all day, every
that's
day.
right. That's right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love me beef. I've always been that way. And then you grow up and you back to the childhood again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're here, red meat is so bad for you, red meat is so bad for you,
Oh,
and
I know.
you learn. And I love that we have this space to speak and talk about the evolution, because
Mm-hmm.
the things that I know now I didn't know then. I was, not to sound cliche, but I was a dairy queen. I would eat a lot of cheese and a lot of sour cream and a lot of this. Now my body is just
Mm-hmm.
like, girl, what are you doing?
Mm,
Right? And the more that you learn is the more that you make the connection between, hey, this is what I learned. This is the science behind it, right?
mm-hmm.
And this is my body's response. Therefore, the two, it's not a happy match, right? So typical day for me is I go everywhere with my water. Everywhere with my water. If it can't go inside with me, it's in the car. So I do prioritize my water. I'm a bunless burger kind of girl. Or sometimes I go through my phases of really liking salmon. I will have some salmon. But I'm usually a bunless burger kind of girl, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it for me. I have never loved chicken. I like wings. I like
Yeah.
wings, but for me to say I love breast or thigh or leg,
Mm-mm.
it's not my
That's
thing.
not your
I've
thing.
never ever. Don't get me wrong. Give me a good piece of jerk chicken. I'm Jamaican. Hello, somebody. I'm
Hello.
going to. I'm going to eat. But if you give me the choice between jerk pork and jerk chicken, it's always going to be the pork for me.
Gotcha.
So I'm a bunless burger kind of girl. I will make, like, I'll cook my steak up like it's prepared for fajitas, but without the peppers. Sometimes,
That's right.
sometimes I'll have the peppers. I do like a bit of avocado.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Yeah.
like me some
Avocado.
avocado with some pink Himalayan salt on it. Good to go. I like me some avocado. Sometimes I'll do very simple cucumber tomato salad with a little salt, pepper, and half of a lemon just
Mm-hmm.
squeezed on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not doing a lot of veggies like I used to
Right, right.
before.
Yeah. I see that a
Yeah.
lot. Like, and I do tend to, if I eat plants, because I do have my ketovore days, right? Man, avocado is absolutely one of the things I tolerate and love. And
Yes.
if you hook it up, it's one of my favorite plant-based foods that I still tolerate. So, and it has all that good healthy fat. So I love that. When it comes to um, helping others, it's so important. And again, I love your energy. So you're kind of, at least from what I can tell, you're built for this work of coaching, right? Because people need, if I'm going to listen to a coach, I don't want to have that, I'm just a Bill, just a Molly. I don't want the depressing. Shout out to the Saturday morning cartoons, right? So, I remember that, boy. I remember those, but you have the right demeanor and the energy. So why did you take it to the next level and decide to become a keto coach?
That's a funny story. So I was helping my cousin. I was just sharing with her what I learned. And she messaged me one day and she was like, I'm in ketosis. And I'm like, wait, what? And I remember I was getting into the shower and I was like, girl, I'm about to go shower. I gotta go see my clients. And in the shower, I was just like, wait a minute, but this has been working for me. And I started keto May 1st, 2018. This was August 2018. So we're
Mm-hmm.
talking June, July. Like, at the time I was probably down about 35, 40 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And people started to notice.
Mm-hmm.
People started to notice and the questions started coming in. And I was like, wait a minute. Um, you're in ketosis? Like, I even told her to get the ketone, the urine strips and everything. And she sent the picture and I was like, wait a minute.
Wow.
So I was very nervous to coach because I was still very new, still
Mm-hmm.
learning a whole lot. And I was nervous, but I said, you know what? It's working for me. And if I can help somebody lose 30, 40 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
then let's do it. So it wasn't officially coaching. It was more so the people that I knew who were struggling with weight like me, who I wanted to help, who I know wanted to help, wanted help. I was just like, hey, I'm doing this thing. This is what I've learned. And slowly but surely, things started progressing. And, the website was made and I started coaching to strangers. But at first, it was the people that I knew, you know
Mm.
what I mean? That I knew that needed help or wanted to lose weight and just become healthy, because the majority of us are drawn to this lifestyle where for me, it was for weight loss, right? I remember that activity we did in Orlando. For me, it was weight loss. For me, it was a pre-diabetes. For me, it was a pre-hypertension. Um, I just didn't want to be 31 and on metformin or insulin, or I don't know. I make it a point of duty not to know any of the
That's
high
right.
blood pressure medication names, because I just didn't. That's not what I wanted for myself. That's not what I believed. Based on my faith, is what the vision is for me. So I really wanted to just lose weight, and I really wanted to help people to lose weight. And back to childhood, because we always got to go back there. I've always wanted to be a teacher. So I grew up for 15 years as an only child. And then voila, came my brother, my little brother, who's like my baby. Um, but I've always wanted to be a teacher. So like I would play school in my room and put my dolls or my students and, the whole 9 yards. So while I am not an educator, I am an educator. And that's why my coaching business is built on education, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody does not have the resources to coach with me 12 months of the year, two,
Right.
3 years.
Yeah.
That's just not a lot of people's reality. So my goal is to leave you better than I found you and to give you the education and the tools. So whether or not you can afford it, you still know what to do. You know
Mm.
what I
I
mean?
love it.
Yeah.
I do want
Yeah.
to say out loud that it's important. Coaching is so important that if you do an inventory of your budget and you say, okay, here's my budget, this is what I'm going to put money towards or not, right? When you do that inventory and you start to remove the things that are not adding value, I encourage everybody to consider adding coaching to that. Now, as was just suggested, maybe it doesn't have to be as often as the next person. Maybe you do it quarterly, maybe you do it every other month. Whatever works for you, but the value of that, I think, is so critical because so many people I see in clinical practice, they struggle not because they just lack knowledge. Now, a lot of it is that. You got to clean that up first. But once they learn the knowledge, they just struggle. And the coaching is that thing that'll push them past that. So I'm just happy again that you're doing that. And I just want to see more people take advantage of that. Now, so you have a person in front of you who's interested. Is there an approach that you have when you're first meeting your clients in terms of how you start them on their journey so they can achieve their goals?
So one of the things that I do is in our first phone call, or if we're not able to schedule a phone call or text, let me know is I always ask them, let me know what is your goal? What are you hoping to achieve at the end of our time together? Because that's important for me to know. Also, I let my clients know that they will receive a calendar from me with a breakdown of the month. However, they are the pilot and I'm the co-pilot, because I may have you fasting and you have health. Your reality right now as it relates to your health is that you're just not able to, right? I need you to share this with me, because this is not a dictatorship. This is a partnership. So I am the coach to say, wait a minute, scrap that calendar based on the information you've given me. Give me a couple hours. I'm at work right now. I'll get you a calendar. And when I send the calendar, I always ask, are you in agreement with this? Right? Because even though you're coming to me to help you, I don't want you to feel like I'm forcing something down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
Something that intimidates clients a lot is intermittent fasting. And I tell them, listen, all I ask you to do is attempt it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you, I don't want you passing out. I don't want you on the verge of a panic attack. I don't want you experiencing any of that. I just want you to give it a fair shot. And I teach them how to prepare for that. So those are things that I usually talk about initially, like what's your why and what are you hoping to accomplish at the end of our 30 days together.
Nice. Yeah. And I think defining your why is why me and you spending time today on this podcast is not a big deal, because I want to help people heal. I want to help people learn that metabolic health is a good thing. I want to let them know that low carb, keto, and carnivore should be on your list of dietary options. Doesn't have to be. I have tons of patients. I shouldn't say tons, but I have a few patients who are plant-based are doing fine. We just talk about supplements and we keep doing what we do. I just want them to be metabolically healthy. That's my goal, and that's what I'm trying to do. You sound busy. You mentioned your sister. She sounds busy. You guys have busy genes, clearly. So how do you find time? How do you coach yourself so that you have some balance with this busy lifestyle that you have?
That's a struggle. And I'm very transparent about that. That is a struggle for me because when you have a servient spirit in my job, I am giving of myself, right? So it's hard for me to find time for myself, and time for myself could literally mean just laying in bed in silence,
Mm,
just putting my phone on do not disturb. Oh, that the day I found out about do not disturb, it's like the heavens opened and the angels started singing. It is such a boundary
mhm.
that we really need to create. And it is not a way for me to disappear. I let who needs to know, hey, my phone's on do not disturb. Call the police, call 911, call the fire station before you call me.
Mhm.
9 out of 10, they're going to get to you quicker. And I think self-care for me and balance is learning to set boundaries.
Mm.
There's a book that I read. I don't remember her last name. I think it's Nedra something. It's No Boundaries, No Peace. And
Mm.
it was such a profound book for me because it really dissected. For me, it's like she wrote the book for me. And it
Mm.
was just this guilt associated with sometimes saying no or I can't, or agreeing to something on Friday, but it's Sunday and I don't want to do it anymore. And it's okay to
Mm.
say, I'm not going to make it. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's how I find balance, is setting boundaries and just being at one with me and learning to sit in silence. We live in a day and age where we're so connected. It's the iPad, it's the TV, it's the phones,
Yeah.
it's so much. And that's how I find my balance after giving so much of myself, is to just
Mhm.
take that time for me. And it's
Nice.
whatever I want to do.
I love it. And I looked it up. It's Nidra Glover, right?
There we go. Yes.
And it's called
Yes.
Set Boundaries,
Boundaries.
Find Peace, a
Peace.
guide to reclaiming yourself. I'm glad you
Yes.
mentioned the book, because I've recommended Boundaries by Henry Cloud in the past. So
Hmm.
now I have a second book. I'll check this out. And again, there are certain lessons you learn in life that are foundational in success. And learning how to say no is so critical, so that you can then focus on self-care. Having done self-care, you'll have more time to give to other people. It's so ironic. And you may even give them more time than you gave them previously, because you,
Previously,
isn't that crazy? So
I
I
heard
love that.
I heard someone say one day, you can't pour from an empty cup. And then the person was like, yeah, you got to fill your cup up. And they said, no, you don't need to fill your cup up and then pour from your cup, because if you pour from your full cup, what's going to happen? Your cup is going to be empty. They
Mhm.
said, pour from the saucer, pour from your
Mm.
overflow.
Mm.
Because if your cup is empty and you're doing the work to fill your cup up, it's like driving a car, right? If only it worked like that. But it's like if you wait until your car is on E, or if it's a Tesla, you're at 0%, then you're out of it. But
Mm.
if you realize that your battery is running low or your gas tank is running low and you fill up, you're not running into this consistent roadblock or this wall of I'm on empty, I'm on empty.
Nice, nice. I'm wondering as I hear you, and for those who are watching on YouTube, as I see you, I see a person who has learned how to hear people, inspire them, coach them. And I'm just really curious who you were before you made your transition. So how do you, how do you view yourself differently now, like compared to back then?
So, one of the things that I enjoy most about this lifestyle is it has helped me to feel more relaxed,
Hmm.
right? So, I was, all women are miserable, right? I own
Don't,
that.
don't
But,
say that. Don't say that.
but we can be a little bit more miserable. I've been more easygoing
Mm,
since living this lifestyle. I've realized that I have become very slow to react from a place of you offended me,
hmm.
especially in the last year and a half. And more so, I find myself trying to understand, like, okay, what's going on with this person? Because, like, why are you just even reacting like this? Like, this is just
Mm,
not normal a typical reaction, because I that word normal and abnormal is so tricky when you get into certain terminology, but this is such an atypical response. I've become more understanding. My confidence has definitely changed. And I wish that society did not play a role in me not feeling as confident as I did then as I do now. But the truth of the matter is that it does. Um, I have been very loud, and not loud and wrong, but loud and right, about women embracing the imperfections in their bodies.
hmm.
So I will be out in my shorts with my cellulite. And if it offends you, then just don't look at me, because I don't really care. My
Mm,
legs deserve to be in shorts.
mm,
I am just very confident, very outspoken about the lifestyle, about how it has blessed me. I never try to push keto on anyone. I
hmm.
always tell them, if you want to know, approach me. I never go seeking people out.
Mm.
I believe in things happening organically, and when we try to force or push things, it doesn't really stick. So I've just changed in that way, and I just kind of let what's to come to me in a positive way. I'm in
Nice.
a season of doing things scared. My fear in the past would have kept me like overthinking, and what if this doesn't work, and what if I don't do this perfectly, and what if, and I'm like, girl, you did so much with such little knowledge. Just do it scared, and you'll
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes, right?
Yeah. Just do it. I love that. We're gonna
Yeah.
do a Nike commercial together. So I love that. And I think about just the Keto Orlando event, right? And Erica, one of the co-founders is Erica Bell. She just happens to be an African American female. And when I was there, even at Keto Palooza, when I was there, didn't see a ton of diversity, although the people who literally run the conference are people of color. So that tells me that there's a lot of communities that are not hearing this message yet. Rather, it's people who are Black, Hispanic, Indian. I know we had our first Indian uh like low carb conference ever this year. It was literally just this past weekend or around the time, a little bit before this recording. So when you think about just a big picture, if you could say something to uh communities of color or even when you think about your home country where you came from initially, how do you, what would you say to them just to inspire them to consider this journey? Like I said, I don't like being too pushy, but I'm like you. I just want them to be aware, but how would you frame anything you would say to them to just encourage them to consider so they can heal?
One of the first things that I would say to them, my people, my Jamaican people, rice does not love you the way you love rice.
Ooh, ooh, pause.
Rice.
Stop the recording. You can't. How dare you say that?
Rice does not love you the way you
Yeah,
love rice. But on a
yeah.
more serious note, health
Mm,
is a true wealth, right?
mhm,
Um, we see 70, 80-year-old running marathons in the gym with us, lifting weights
mhm,
at these conferences, telling about how much the lifestyle has gotten them out of wheelchairs, gotten them off of medication, helped them overcome and put diseases in remission. I would say to them, do you want to live or do you want to exist?
mm,
So it always baffles me, Dr. Hampton, and by no means am I a wealthy young lady, but I am believing that I am not going to work till 65, not because of any illness, but because I just cannot think of myself working till I'm 65 years old. Then I have 10 years to live. And I'm working so hard, right? Living paycheck to paycheck, because that's some people's reality, struggling. And I'm not able to move my body because I'm so exhausted at the end of the day. I'm so exhausted on the weekends. I have a family and the kids have to go to football. The kids got to go to baseball. They got to go to dance. Or I'm working 2, 3 jobs, so I barely see my kids. I
mhm,
don't have time to eat well. I don't have time to move my body. And at 65 years old,
mm,
I retire. I am hypertensive. I am diabetic. I have a heart condition. My knees don't work. I'm my doctor is threatening to amputate limbs.
mm,
I'm having trouble moving around. Getting up from the couch to stand up to go to the bathroom is a struggle for me. And I'm going to live my last 10 years in pain, inflamed on medication, not able. And I've worked so hard, right? And I've saved and I have a pension, but I can't live and enjoy my life because I have to take 8 to 10 medications a day to manage my symptoms of these diseases. When if I am open to the fact that rice doesn't love me, and
mm.
if you must have rice, you don't have to have cups of rice with your meal. 1 cup is fine. It takes some adjusting like everything else, but just being open to educating yourself or receiving the education that you deserve a life greater than working, eating poorly, and retiring and being sick.
Mm. I love that.
Like, I want to be that 70-year-old granny at Six Flags. Like, I went to Six Flags, took my brother for his high school graduation, and I saw this lady, and she had to be in her 70s. And it's not because she looked old, but like, she could have had kids young, which is a reality. But just saw this lady on the roller coasters, and I'm like, that's life goals. Like,
Yes.
yeah, you want the house and you want the investments and you want and you want and you want, but for me, I want to be able to be a sassy little old thing, putting my tennis shoes on and going for a walk, you know what I mean, and saying hi to my neighbors and watching the kids get on the bus to go to school in the mornings. Like, that's what I want. I don't want to be bound to a wheelchair. I don't want to be on medication. I don't want to not be able to be sassy through the airport and give the people at TSA a hard time because they're moving too slow. And I'm going on vacation at 75, 79, 80 years old. That's life goals for me.
Yes, that's I can visualize. I've already put in gray hair on you and I see you out on the hike doing your thing and again and it's so ironic you would give that example because when me and my wife went to visit Jamaica, there were examples of both. There
Mm-hmm.
were examples of a couple who were getting ready to, go with us on the little waterfall thing where you can kind of walk up it or whatever, right?
Oh, Dunn's River. Yeah, the excursion.
Exactly. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for helping me out. I'm getting old now. And then there was this other wonderful couple who we had a chance to talk to. They were both clearly not at their ideal body weight, both having to be wheelchaired everywhere they went. And I'm sure they still had a reasonably enjoyable, because it was one of those all-inclusives and
Right.
everything's right there, but they absolutely couldn't do that hike up that waterfall. They couldn't do it. So in an ideal world, they'd be able to do that if that's what they desire. And they can do it at 70, at 80, etc. So thank you for giving us a visual. Gave me a little bit of a flashback, and really, and that was one of my favorite trips to visit. I had to stay away from the temptation of marijuana. Everybody's saying you got to smoke some. I was like, no, I can't do the marijuana. I'm a doctor. I can't. But it
Listen,
was.
I am probably the only, not the only, but moving here
Mm-hmm.
from Jamaica, everybody was
Oh,
like,
of course.
and I'm like, I don't like, I was so afraid of my mom. Like, what would my mother say?
Right.
And it was such a culture shock, right?
It's a
Because
stereotype.
they did, yeah, the
It's a
stereotype.
stereotype.
And it was just like, I don't even know what to do. Like, you give it to me, I don't,
I
and
got
it's the truth,
another
but
I got another stereotype for you,
mhm.
and it was that I remember in Living Color, and they used to do a stereotype about West Indies, and they kind of suggested the family was Jamaican, and they had to have like 10, 15 jobs in order to be considered uh adequate for the family. And I thought that was so funny. So I'm assuming that that's a stereotype too, even though you and your sister work very hard. Not required.
No, it's not required. But so what happens is when you move here,
Hmm.
um, we're raised to not forget about those left at home. So you have to maintain your household here. And you
Oh,
also have to send
so
money
uh,
to go back home to help with grandma and the aunties and uncles and the cousins and the kids that are left behind. So that's how some family
that's
structures are.
that's where that's at least one explanation, because I remember Damon Wayans, he's so funny on In Living Color, and the daughter who played the daughter in that one of the episodes said, I'm in love and I met this doctor, and they were upset because he only had one job, even though he made a lot of money. And then it was funny because he was like, he said, when you guys met, you guys were in love. He said, no, I didn't marry your mom because I was in love. I married her because she had 6 jobs. And I just thought that. So, but anyway, I just think it's important when you understand why things are what they are and maybe why some of that stereotype occurred, because I had never heard that explanation before. So I think that's really funny. So now, having said that, you're coaching, you're out here making a difference. You have to protect your nest. So when you think about your future, of course you're going to do your dietary thing because you're doing that clearly. What other aspects of your life are you going to focus on over the next year just to kind of help you achieve your goals so that you can spread this message at 60, 70, 80, 90 and beyond?
So one of the things that we don't, well, I'm a millennial, so we're talking
Mm-hmm.
more about therapy and mental health, right? One of the things that I've recently started doing, maybe since the summer, is I'm back in therapy. And that is so important for me when it comes to the nest, just to
Mm-hmm.
help to remember that. And remember, I said to you that my jobs require me to be giving of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So a part of my balance is also my therapy. Like, I look forward to that. She's in my budget. She's in my budget. So you remember you spoke about the coaching and looking at it as
Mm-hmm.
you need that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just a safe space for me, an unbiased space for me to just go and I don't like to say dump, but sometimes you just got to go dump. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
been happening for the week, or if it's every other week, what's been happening since we last saw each other, and just learning tools. So I heard someone say the other day, if I think I have a broken toe, I'm gonna go see a physician, right?
Mm-hmm.
If my car is making a funny sound, I'm going to a mechanic, right? So
Better
if
yet.
I find myself emotionally struggling with things, why not go to a therapist?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I really plan to focus on over the next year. Just really applying those tools again,
Mm-hmm.
just to help me to remain focused, because life be lifing and things happen and we can get distracted.
Ooh.
And as a recovering emotional eater and carb addict, I know that in order for me to really just be on target with Nest, I really need to continue to have a great relationship with my therapist and keep her
Mm.
in the budget. If we got to cut
Yeah.
some other things out, we'll cut them out, but I need to keep her in the budget, and
Yeah.
it's important.
It is valuing a therapist, valuing a coach is so critical because the key message I'm hearing from you is life happens. And guess what? Those things are going to keep happening. Things are going to continue to be hard. Only thing that's really changing is you and how you
Right.
deal with those things. We're gonna hear of wars even after
Yeah.
the current ones stop. We may even have another pandemic sneak up on us. I mean, who knows? But they're always going to be. It's going to be drama in the relationships, in life, at work, etc. So just how we manage those things are the key. So thank you for sharing that important message. And the last message is how people can find you, your beautiful book, and your coaching opportunities. How can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Keto Yardie, and my website is KetoYardie.com. And I actually have an event coming up on November 11th. I'm not sure when this episode is going to be pushed out, but November 11th in Miami, I'm actually hosting, I've planned, and I'm hosting my first nutrition panel.
Mm,
So this is very important for me. We're going to be having some events coming up throughout the year. So really staying up to date with my Instagram, also joining my email list. I will always send out information via my email list, and they can join that on my website at
nice.
ketoyardie.com.
I love it. And thank you for sharing that. And the episode will probably be coming out exactly around that time because it'll be basically, within the week of our recording. So it'll
Okay,
be coming out. So I think it'll be just in time to at least make people aware.
right.
And I really appreciate you just coming to my podcast. It's always a level of sacrifice to take time to share messages of healing. So I'm just happy more people will know you, hear your voice, and hopefully benefit from your services. So keep doing your thing. Looking forward to the next time we see each other in person at one of
Yes.
those events, which we'll continue to participate in. And as we conclude your portion, I'll wrap up with a few comments, but thank you so much for being with me today. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
No problem. So today, guys, you met a very busy lady who has not allowed her busy life to keep her from achieving her health-related goals. So my question to you, my audience, is have you prioritized your life in such a way that your health is at or near the top of your personal priority list? And if not, here's some food for thought. Think about all the other priorities you have and imagine if they would be easier to achieve if you had more focus, more energy, and just a better sense of well-being. You know what, guys? I think you know the answer to that question. So by simply prioritizing self-care, you are more likely to have something left in that tank to give of yourself for others. Self-care should never be considered a selfish act. So make sure to put your health first, and then the priorities of others that can follow after that. So as we conclude with my wonderful guest, I thank you for joining us on this episode of the Protecting Your Nest podcast. And until we meet again, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest. You've been listening to Protecting Your Nest with Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com.